All right. The one thing that it seems like we can't escape is Chat GPT. It seems like everyone, regardless of position or profession, that is on LinkedIn or social media has some kind of chat. I saw 3 this morning, Chat GPT something. So in doing what you do, what's the coolest thing you've seen with Chat GPT, and what risks does Chat GPT pose potentially to an organization?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, ChatGPT, like I'm not super surprised by it.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, there was a time like I made one of those to sort of imitate some of my wife's writing. She's a philosophy professor, like 5 years ago. And so I think what's happening now is that people have access to this technology, and now they're like, wow. Now, of course, what I made and what ChatGPT is very, very different. And the coolest thing is that it is so powerful that it is surprisingly human-like, and it's like a person who has a photographic memory and can just regurgitate in a really coherent way almost anything you ask it that it's, of course, it's been trained on.
Yeah.
And so I think that in terms of the coolest thing, it's not so much the coolest thing that it's done, it's what I know it can do, in the sense that a lot of the intelligence that humans have and that gets attributed to humans is centers around language and how we use language. And so these large language models are tapping into that. So, they are parrots in a way. They're just parroting back things that we have said or have recorded in the past. However, that's how children learn, and that's a lot of what I'm saying to you right now is just repeating a sort of an amalgamation of words that I've heard in the past in a way that's sort of relevant and coherent for our discussion right now. That's basically what these language models do. And so I know that there's a huge capacity for them to have a lot of sort of latent abilities that we haven't sort of tapped into yet. Regarding the risks, I think the risks are very clear. Like, so my whole job is to focus on the risks. That being said, I feel like a lot of people are sort of blowing it a little bit out of proportion. And I think about it a lot more practically. Like, you're a company, you're going to be using ChatGPT in some of your processes, right? You're going to use it to write some copy for your website. You're going to use it to bring up some fact that you might have forgotten and you don't want to Google it and you want some written text. You're going to use it in a chatbot. There are risks associated with that. And so in my mind, the most sensible thing to do is to do a risk assessment of what could happen, right? The things that could happen are that it's wrong. It gives you wrong information. We've seen that happens. Okay. How do you mitigate that risk? There are checks and balances. How important is it if it gets it wrong? What situation have you used? What kind of guardrails can you put in place to ensure that people know that it could be wrong? For instance, if someone's using it in your organization. Another thing is it could say, foul things or hateful things or reproduce biases that we have. Put up guardrails around that. How important is that? How can you detect that? How can you mitigate that? So in my mind, it's not so complicated. It's just, let's focus, like I would do with any other sort of situation where I do a risk assessment and figure out what are the key things that could go wrong and how do we mitigate that.